Hey guys, it's me, Cupid. Of course, my computer's gonna do that right now. Waited until I put the camera on to do it. Um, so today, so I'm Cupid. Sorry, I don't know if I said that already. I'm Cupid. I have schizophrenia. Just there we go. Um, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about drug abuse and schizophrenia. And then I also wanted to get into a story, maybe a couple stories. So, schizophrenia and addiction, or substance use disorder, often co-occur. So, when you have schizophrenia, um, it's very often that you have substance abuse issues. Um, so, people with schizophrenia often engage in substance abuse as a way to self medicate or alleviate feelings of anxiety and depression. So, it is very common for people with schizophrenia to self medicate. So, even though substance abuse cannot cause schizophrenia, it can act as an environmental trigger. So, it can cause the onset of it, but it is not the reason behind someone having schizophrenia, unless they are consistently, which I don't think this is considered schizophrenia, but if you are consistently on drugs, and then you have the issues, because a lot of the times people get confused between a drug abuse and schizophrenia because it can often look the same. Um, so um, So if they lack access to the proper mental health treatment or education about the illness, they are at increased risk of coping with drugs and alcohol. Um, so common substance abuse abused by people with schizophrenia include alcohol, nicotine, cocaine, and cannabis. I have used all of those. Um, Substance abuse studies vary widely, with claims ranging from 10% to 70% of people with schizophrenia having a problem. Researchers have found that over half of all people with schizophrenia abused at least one substance prior to the onset of the mental illness. People with schizophrenia also are 4.6 times more likely to be diagnosed with a substance use disorder than the general population. Sorry, sometimes I can't speak correctly. I don't know what's wrong with me. I had a million things wrong with me. What am I talking about? People with schizophrenia who abuse substances experience more cognitive impairment, more intense psychosis, and higher rates of needing emergency services, which makes sense. That all happened to me. Um, they are also more likely to be incarcerated, which is a very interesting fact, and experience legal troubles. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff, isn't it? Um, so, there are things that you can do, ways that you can get help. There's treatments, all kinds of things that you can do to get yourself off of drugs, off of alcohol, um, out out of the nicotine. Some crazy things that I found out about nicotine, which I didn't know that at all. Um, so here's some fun facts about nicotine use with schizophrenia. 44% of cigarettes sold in the United States are bought by people with psychiatric disorders. 70% of people with schizophrenia have nicotine dependence, which can make them more likely to experience a relapse of symptoms. Kind of interesting. That's what I thought was most intriguing. I know that nicotine helps to build serotonin and also helps to build your dopamine, which can help with depression. Your serotonin and dopamine can help with euphoria. Um, and I didn't know, though, that it could cause a psychosis. Um, People with schizophrenia who smoke are more likely to have hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized speech. and require higher dosages of antipsychotic medications. Very intriguing to know that. I did not know that at all. Um, and I think that it is very interesting to find out what you can do to take care of yourself. I know that people who are using drugs, they have to hit rock bottom sometimes to be able to come out. I know I had to hit rock bottom. Um, I definitely hit rock bottom for me to be able to get out of that. I hit a point where my psychosis became so extreme um, that I was feeling people like raping me. It felt like people were like literally having sex with me, like physically having sex with me regularly. Um, I would see things all the time. I felt like there was a woman crawling in my walls. I was hearing things on the regular. Um, I thought there was a dead body in our attic because there was maggots in like our little storage thing, and then there was, I don't know, things the voices were saying. Um, I got to a really bad point, and then I also had my heart issues, and I realized that I needed to stop. I mean, I've relapsed a couple of times with drugs, not majorly, like being put into the wrong situation, in a bad situation that obviously I put myself in, where I, was like, oh, well, let me do it again, and I did, and then I find out, after I do it, that that's a bad decision, so then I don't do it to the extreme, like, some people might, but yeah, not find out, but decide. But I mean, I would find out too because my heart would go crazy and things like that. So finding out too on top of that. So yeah, I definitely had to come off of the drugs and things like that. It's scary to do drugs, but let alone have schizophrenia and to do drugs. So um, I just hope that everyone who has schizophrenia is very careful of that. Okay, that was weird. Sorry, someone started calling me and my computer lets me know when someone's calling me, and then it switched out of the camera view, and I didn't realize it was still recording, so my apologies. So let's get into a story. Um, I think I have time for this, maybe. So I went to jail right around like. There's always that beginning part of an episode, the before part of an episode, where it kind of starts to show, and it starts to become, and then everything gets like put together, and then it like there's the episode, like there's little pieces that come together, and it's like some major things sometimes, but then all of a sudden it's like whoosh, it comes together, and there's a starting point. For me, I went to jail around the beginning parts where there was some extreme things, but nothing like official. Um, and I was kind of in the psychosis a little bit. I was um, hearing things pretty heavily. Like I would, the reason I was in jail was because of it's a long story, but I was hearing things related to that, like the person especially that was related to that, and then I, was having all kinds of stuff was happening. So I was not fully able to be good at social cues at the time. I don't know if people understand that, but sometimes there's that social cue that you can't pay attention to because you're kind of lost in that. It happens a lot with people with schizophrenia. I'm really good with socializing. I'm really good with being around people. I know how to pick up on social cues, except for when those times happen. I was talking to a girl that was ready to go to prison. She was still in the middle of her trial, And I made a joke, and she didn't take it in a very good way. She didn't appreciate it as much as I probably wanted her to. Um, I wasn't trying to make fun of her. I wasn't trying to do anything like that. I have those moments of like, oh, I'm just gonna be funny to kind of get myself through this. And like I said, I didn't catch on to the social cues there, and I made the joke, and she got really upset, walked away. For the next week after that, her group of friends and her were sitting in the gym waiting for me. And someone came up and told me that they were waiting for me, that they wanted to get into a fight with me. They wanted to, I guess, beat me up, jump me, whatever you want to call it. So I didn't go in the gym for that whole week. I was like, I don't really want to get into this with them. So then another friend of theirs who kind of was in and out of prison her whole life came back to jail to go to another trial that she was convicted of something that she did while she was in prison. And so she had to go to trial. So they put them in jail when they're awaiting trial because it's easier, I guess. I don't know why, but they do that. And so she was put in jail with us, and this was a friend of theirs, and apparently, and I didn't find this out until later. This was only like probably a few days after they were waiting for me in the gym, and I already knew that she was crazy. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, she's crazy. That chick's crazy. You got to be aware of this chick that just came in. You got to be really careful. You got to be like, just don't mess with her. Don't do anything." So apparently they talked to her, and she had brought a shank in. And I know it's getting pretty interesting, right? So they spoke with her about what I did, and apparently she was going like somebody ratted on her. I don't know who, but somebody ratted on her, and the the police officers, the staff, went in there to check everyone's stuff to see what they had, and they found a shank in there. So I ended up finding out after they did the raid of her cell and their cell. There's like 16 women in that cell or something like that. After they did the raid, I ended up finding out from someone else that she was planning to corner me and stab me. Yeah, yeah. So that was a pretty interesting time in my life. So yeah, things that you do that are stupid that happen when you're not even fully aware. It happens all the time. I've heard plenty of stories of other people having that situation with schizophrenia and being in, or not that exact situation, but a similar situation where they got themselves into a bad situation. And yeah, that was one of quite a few that I've been in. Just fully unaware of what was happening. I I mean, when I found out some of the stuff that they told me, I didn't even believe it at first. I was like, really? She was gonna stab me? Why? I didn't believe it fully. I was still lost in the confusion of things. Um, and I mean, can you imagine? I was not expecting it at all. I wasn't paying attention to anything outside of the fact that, oh, they were probably waiting for me. That's cool. I'm just gonna stay out of there. But not even fully aware that this crazy person that they kept mentioning was crazy, that I should actually be very cautious, even more cautious than I was already of her. But crazy times. Um, I think that's going to be it for today, you guys. Stay wonderful, stay beautiful, stay amazing, stay awesome, stay unique, stay you, and just have a great day, great time. Be safe, and try to take care of your guys' selves. Peace and love, you guys.